Hi, welcome to STEAM Kids Virtual Classroom here at the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. Michelle here.
With Misty.
And we're here to talk about some more art today. Let's thank our sponsors, Union Pacific Foundation and Greeley Station, for making this possible. Thank you so much.
It does rhyme. Yeah.
So this is our second lesson on art, and we learned a little bit about how to use our watercolors last time. But today we're going to learn how to create a color wheel. And I like to do this when I get a set of paints, just so that I know exactly what they're going to look like on paper before I attempt to paint something like this.
Which we will not be attempting today,
no,
right?
We will not. But this is a painting from our collection. We're really happy with it. It's basically a streamliner unit. It's called an F3. And this is a beautiful watercolor. And today the thing we're going to look at is the rocks. So the rocks have a lot of shading in them. And so see how there's light up here, medium tone here, and really dark down here. And that makes that rock look like it has depth.
That's
right?
The sky is a really good example of that too, how they've done that over here.
That's right. And so even the ground the dirt has depth.
Yes.
And look at the bushes here. And here there's dark brown over light.
And even up here under the 104, you could
There's
see
some shading right there. Yep, so that's some blending too. So we will look at this kind of blending, because this to me looks like a yellow and an orange blended together, or maybe even yellow and brown to make it that color. So by creating a color wheel, we're going to learn how our paint set, how these colors blend together and what that looks like. So in your kit, you're going to pull out the two big pieces of paper for this lesson.
Two, okay.
That leaves one little paper in there. So you're going to have a bonus paper, and this is for you to create a masterpiece on later, because this one is true watercolor paper.
Yeah.
And you'll notice it has a different feel. To pull that one out. We've been using cardstock, which is a basic paper that's a little bit heavier than like copy paper or notebook paper. And that's what we put in your kit, is a cardstock. And you can paint on cardstock, and it works just fine. But if you wanted to really have your colors blend and really soak in, you use watercolor paper, and it actually has a little texture in it. So
it does.
I wanted to make sure everybody had a piece of this. Yeah, because on this one you could do a lot of depth, because you could get this paper more wet without it bending.
Yeah.
If you notice,
here's an example of it bending.
Yeah, see how ours is kind of bending? That's because we didn't use a watercolor paper. And so the paper wants to soak the water in, and then when it dries, it wants to bend a little. But watercolor paper won't do that, because it's designed to be able to hold that water without bending. So that's just for fun for you for later.
All right, I'm going to make a postcard.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. Or you could do a mini version of what we're going to paint today. Ooh. Or flowers, or anything you wanted to paint. Okay, so let's set one paper aside and pull out one, and we're going to make a color wheel. And a color wheel is a great way to look at the colors and how they make each other. So I want to circle on this paper, so I'm going to grab a bowl. And here at the museum, we have these paper bowls. But at home, you might have a cereal bowl or anything around, a lid off of something. Or you can just freehand a circle too. But I'm going to take a pencil, and I'm just going to trace this circle all the way around. So now I have a circle on my paper. Hopefully that shows up on the camera. And you can set your bowl aside. Now I need 12 pie shapes in here. So I'm going to use a ruler. And
pizza slices. 12
pizza slices or cookies.
There you go.
They do that with cookies now too. So I'm going to draw a straight up and down line. And these do not have to be perfect, because this is just for your own personal use. So you can just eyeball where your center is and where your sides are. Now, the hard part, though, is I've got the plus sign. That's easy. Top and bottom, left and right is easy. But now, to make 12, I need to add 2 lines in here to add 3 pieces of pie. So I have to kind of guess, and it might not be perfect. Have you ever sliced a pizza of your own? Like, tried to cut a pizza? I always end up with some big and some little.
Me too.
Because this is the hard part, but a ruler is helpful. So I'm going to look at this one, and I'm going to guess that that's a third of this piece right here. So I'm just going to roll with it and draw. I can't get hold of it. Draw my line right there. I did fairly good. I kind of missed the center, but that's okay. Now I'm going to do half of what's left here.
It's tough.
It's not easy. It's a little bit of a challenge, but I did end up with 3 pieces They're not an identical size, but that's okay. Now we have to do the same thing with this section.
The whole point of this, though, is just to get your colors
colors
broken
on paper.
off a little bit from each other, right?
Right.
See, so that's okay. So
Now, as we're making this, it might be easiest for us to label them first, so we know where to paint the color, or you can just paint and then come back and label it. But
There's my color wheel.
That's great. I think yours is even better than
I don't know.
You got a little more centered than I did.
Well, I
kinda
didn't,
made a
but
mess
I
in
messed
the
up on
center.
my half. I messed up on my half. But
You know what?
the
We've
point
got
is
12
to make.
slices. We got 12 slices. We are doing great. So I'm going to choose this one right here to be red. So let's label it R-E-D, red. So I'm going to put red here. Now I need to count over to, I think it's 2 more spaces, 3. You need to leave 3 blank. So let me
3
say,
blank
yeah, let me
and a
say it
red,
that way.
right?
So leave 3 blank. Then you're going to put yellow here.
Okay.
Okay. And then leave 3 blank. And this one's going to be blue. Okay, so these are what we call primary colors. You can pretty much make up all the other colors out of these 3 colors.
Are we missing green?
We will get to green in just a
Okay.
minute. So let's go ahead and paint them in. Okay, now that we've labeled them, let's paint them. So I'm going to just get my red wet. And did you notice that your paint's dried from last time? And you could touch them again? They dry pretty quick, and you should leave your paints open until they do dry. And then see, I just got this one wet. See how it looks a different color? And it's wet in there. So
All right.
gonna paint this area right here. And with watercolor, it's always fun because of the shading that naturally happens. So this triangle's red. Okay, I have a red one. I'm gonna do the yellow. Remember, you gotta clean your brush out because we don't want red in that yellow. I always like the shading part of the color wheel. So red, yellow, and blue are those primary colors. Isn't it funny how sometimes we use them in like baby rooms, like those primary colors? And you often think of like building blocks or basic things or Legos, red, yellow, and blue. Now,
Yeah.
let's get the blue done here. So let's get our basic colors in, and then we're going to start blending them. Now our kit comes with the next set of colors, but we could blend them. So I might just show you on the side here what I mean by that. So let me get the blue on there. Okay, I have red, yellow, and blue. Now in our colors here, we have purple, orange, and green. And look at this, red, yellow, blue, and in between them we have purple, orange, and green. Do you know how to make the color green?
Is it yellow and red or orange and wait, it's
Green is yellow and blue. And see how on our paint kit, they even put it in the middle between yellow and blue. Now I have a styrofoam plate here, and because it's not porous, I'm gonna mix some color on there and show you. So I'm gonna get a little bit of yellow and put it on this plate. See that yellow? And then I'm gonna clean my brush out because I don't wanna mix them on my paint. You don't wanna mix them in your paint tray. Put some blue here. Now, what happens when I mix these together? What color is that? It's green.
Oh, that is green.
It makes green. Okay.
I am not painting fast today.
No,
I'm
you're
like,
fine. It's okay. If you use more water, it'll blend a little further, but it's not a huge deal. So we left three of these blank, so I'm going to go ahead and label yellow and blue, and in the middle of those two I'm going to write green because yellow and blue made green. In fact, I'll even use that color that I mixed here on the paper. Look at that. I mixed that, but you could also just use the green from your paint set if you want.
Or you, as Michelle said, you can experiment in making it too. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can try to make it too. And the more blue you put in, the more blue-green. And I'll talk about that in a minute,
Blue-green,
too.
is that teal?
Kind of, and we're going to make that on our color wheels. So go ahead and do your color there. Okay. Now, what do you think red and yellow make? And our paint set's going to give us a hint.
Red and yellow.
Here's red,
I think it's orange.
here's yellow.
I think it's orange.
It's going to make orange. So we can go ahead and label this middle one as orange, and then I'm going to paint it orange. And I'm just going to use my paint set orange.
Yeah. Okay, so that middle one between yellow and red is going to be orange. And orange, the color orange is spelled the same way the fruit is.
The fruit. And nothing rhymes with it.
Nope.
Now, red and blue. What do you think red and blue will make? And if we look here, imagine the blue is here at this end, rotating through. Blue and red, and in the middle we have purple. So, oops, I forgot to label it first.
It's a good thing this is not a pop quiz. Already I would have failed.
This is purple. Here we go. Paint some purple in there.
Now, this was made, this idea for this lesson came from an intern we had with us this summer, right?
Right. Her name is Danny.
Yes.
And she was a great artist. And
Yeah, she is
we asked
phenomenal.
if she wanted to create a lesson for STEAM kids, and she said, yes, I'd love to do the color wheel. So the examples in the download that you have are all Danny's paintings. So here's where I'm at. I've got primary and secondary colors on my color wheel now.
It almost looks like a beach ball.
It does look like a beach ball.
I like it.
Or a piece of candy.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, candy.
Now, we don't have the next colors that we need on our paint set, do we? And we're pretty much not using brown and black right now, because black is all the colors mixed together.
Yeah.
And brown is kind of the same kind of thing, except you just use the orange and stuff. So we're just kind of using these primary bright colors. Now, what do I need to put in the middle here? This one is going to be called red orange. We're going to make this third layer of colors. And this one,
Red orange, okay.
and when the colors, the way they're done on a color wheel is you always take the primary color as the first word. So between yellow and orange is going to be yellow orange. And then between yellow and green, yellow and green is going to be yellow green. But you wouldn't be wrong to call it green yellow. And this over here is going to be called blue green, because it's blue is the primary color and green is the secondary color. Blue green. Now over here we're going to have blue and purple, so this one is blue purple. And this one is going to be between red and purple, red purple. There are other words for these terms though, like teal is one that's pretty popular. Aqua is another one like that. So you can either use your plate to mix these colors, because we have to mix them this time, or you can use the lid here.
I'm getting a head start because you're fast, Michelle. So I'm getting a head start.
So maybe we should start with the lightest color and do the yellow orange first, just because. So I'm going to put some yellow on here, and you can mix it right here on your lid if you want. So I'm going to put yellow down, clean my brush, and then I'm going to get it wet again and get the orange wet. Put some orange down next to it. Might need a little bit more paint than that on there. Okay, so I have yellow and orange, and now I'm going to stir them together. And I might have put a little more orange than yellow. See how that still looks pretty orange? So I'm going to clean my brush. And I'm going to put a little more yellow in it. And that's going to lighten it up.
And the beauty about using these plates that we're using, we can wipe it up too.
Yep. And you'll see it's just a little bit different shade than the orange we did and the yellow we did. Should be right in between the two. And if you went back and really painted these colors solid, which I did not take the time, this orange would be quite a bit different than this orange yellow that we just made. Now, if you let that set on your lid, and let that dry. You'll have orange yellow next time you get it wet. You just let it set and dry. So now let's do yellow green. Put some yellow out here. And then get some green. Always have to remember to rinse that brush out. And here we have yellow green. And mine's pretty green. I didn't put a whole lot of yellow in it. You could actually go back and add a little. Lighten it up and watch this. Look at the difference in adding just a little more yellow. So this is gonna, and then I'm blending them in the middle. So this is gonna give me more green and more yellow on this side.
It's so neat to see
that?
the difference.
Colors
Mine
are
looks
really
a
fun
little-
to play with.
Mine's coming out a little different.
Yeah, but you can definitely see your different
Yeah.
colors. So that's great. Okay, so now I'm gonna do my red orange.
Well, I'm gonna do my yellow green.
Get that orange paint out there. You could also be mixing this on that plate or on any plate you have. So there's red and orange together. So I'm going to mix them up and paint that in here. Well, that's kind of a different color, isn't it?
Are you discovering a new color?
Yeah, I really like the red orange. Here we go. Okay, so now let's do, I'm going to do blue-green. So get some green. Put it out here. Clean the brush. Wipe it off.
Now, a
Get some
general
blue.
rule I would like to point out is you always, always, always want to paint on a surface in which has been approved by your parent.
That is a good point. Do not paint anything that your parents aren't agreeable with.
Yeah.
Because they will stain. These will stain. You don't want to paint your countertop. In fact, where we're working on a tablecloth, you might want to work on a newspaper underneath. Or put something underneath there just to protect whatever surface you're painting on. So, blue-green. And you know what? I'm kind of running out, so I can take some water, mix it in there. I just touched a little water, put it right in there, and gave it a lot more water, so now I can spread that paint around. That pigment spreads the more water you put down. So it gave me enough to finish painting my pizza slice of blue-green. Okay, blue-purple. Maybe I'll do this one.
My next color is the yellow-orange. This is coming along. This is fun.
It's really fun. And anytime you get a new paint set, it's always fun to do this because different manufacturers might use a different dye or a different pigment.
That's really
And
important.
this is a great way just to understand the paints you have and what colors you're going to get when you mix them.
I like
So-
this idea. I never thought of that.
Yep. And then what I'll do is label this paper. I'll label it STEAM Kids Virtual Classroom Watercolors. And then I'll know exactly what the colors look like if I want to paint with them again. I do this with acrylic paint and I do it with oil paint.
Do you ever do it with markers?
Well, markers don't blend as well unless you have an alcohol-based marker, which I do. I have some called Copic markers that you would use for coloring comic books. Have you ever seen how a comic book can be shaded? That's because it's an alcohol-based marker. It's a little bit different than what we use in school, and you can actually blend colors together on that. Now I need some red over here.
I knew I was asking the right person the question.
It's a good question. There's so many kinds of paints and dyes and things to work with in shading. And you know where we use the most shading in this building? In the layout.
Would you say it's the skyline?
It's all of it. It's painting the backdrops up here, but it's also weathering things so that they look like, you know how there's like, see on the green building, there's some shading on there, and that makes it look older. We call that weathering. It gives it a little age. So you'll notice if you come in here, you're going to see a lot of buildings that have some shading on them to give them depth and age. And we also do it to our train cars, for locomotives, to the rail cars. And then you always have it in the sky, in the backdrops. So we use it often here, shading. Okay, I have my color wheel done. I hope you really had fun with this. And you could try it again, make some different ones. Try putting more of one color than the other. You can see in the yellow green, I did that twice. So I did more yellow at this end and more green at this end. And if you did that to the other ones, you would get a lot of variant shading in there too. So just something super fun to do.
And I'm going to continue on mine
Okay.
as we get ready for our next set of videos. I hope you had fun today. Oh, wait a minute.
We're gonna paint something.
Michelle is going to continue on as I continue to work on this. I thought, I almost thought we were done.
It's okay. It's fine. Just because we wanted to keep talking about shading. Mm-hmm. So Danny came up with a great idea to talk about shading and depth. So we're going to take this paper and I'm going to show you the final drawing because I like to have kind of an idea
As to what your
you're
final
doing.
product is
so
going to
if
look
you
like.
can see what Danny did here, she created some mountains. There's some trees in the front and a mountain range. She put a sunshine and a rainbow and did a sunset sky. You notice her sky isn't blue, it's sunset colors. Now, the point of this lesson is the mountains. And the mountains in the front are always going to be darker than the mountains in the back. And that has to do with the atmosphere and the way light comes through our atmosphere. Remember back to our other science lessons, they apply in painting, if you can believe that. Everything is connected.
And, with the mountain fires we've been seeing the sky kind of looking like that.
Yeah, if you've ever been near a forest fire, the sky has smoke in it, and it's really hard to see distance. And distance becomes more and more faded. Mm-hmm. And even in this painting, right here, if you look, it's really dark right here. But as you go into the distance, it's lighter and lighter. And look how light that mountain is back there.
And you can even see here, it's like a dark gray, almost black. And it
gets
fades
lighter,
right
lighter, because that's what light traveling through the molecules in our atmosphere, it tends to get a little more hazy, a little more, when it's distant, it's harder to see it. So that's what we're going to do with this lesson. And so now you're going to need a pencil, and I'm going to try to draw this one upside down for you. We'll see if I do very well.
I think you got this. You got this, Michelle.
The first thing I want to do is kind of draw my front mountains. So I'm just going to draw a big mountain here and maybe another one here with a little peak, a double peak mountain. That's my front range. That's the front range.
Yes. And why is it called the front range?
Because it's the one closest to you.
Aha.
So it's in the front of your vision. So then I'm going to add a couple peaks in here. And then I'm going to add probably, let's see, I'm going to do one up here and some back here and another one here. So my peaks are a little different than hers, but they will be okay. I'm going to actually I'll just paint my trees first, but you just need to draw some mountains in. So I've got a front range, a second range, and a third range here.
Okay.
Okay. So I have to turn it around to paint. I'm going to start with my trees though, because remember, you can't really paint over with watercolor. So if I want a different something in the front, I have to do it first. So I'm going to just do some pine trees. And pine trees, you start with a point at the top and pull your brush down like this. And get a little more paint and continue just to make it wider towards the bottom. I didn't put very much paint in my tray to start with. But do you see how you do a little shape that gets fatter? Do another one here. Little point, pull it down. Pine tree. Let's see if I can do this one upside down for you. Kind of do a point and then just pull that paint down. And then just make it wider at the bottom. If you need to get a little more paint towards the bottom, you can. Pine trees. You could probably start at the bottom and go up too. Whatever you want to do. But that's a really easy thing to paint. And I'm going to add some more. Now, oftentimes with pine trees, do you see a little one? Right? And then next to it might be a big one. And we'll just put him right there next to it. And then they tend to kind of just be around each other. So I'm going to put another one here. And then maybe a little tiny one right there. Little baby tree growing up. There, I have some trees.
That's looking great.
So now we're going to do some mountain colors. Now, mountains can be brown. They could be gray, like this one.
Yeah.
They can be purple. And honestly, in your imagination, they could be any color you want them to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to work with brown today.
Okay.
So I'm going to need a whole lot of water in my brown paint.
I'm going to get started on my trees.
So just dip your brush a few times
and
get some water in your brown. And here's where I'm also going to use my plate.
now, what's your favorite tree to do? Because this is our second tree. Do you have a favorite?
I literally love the fall tree the best because I love all those shades of color.
Yeah, aspen
getting some
trees are
brown
my
out here.
favorite.
Okay, so I've got some brown, and I'm going to do my close-up mountains first, I think. Or maybe I should do the back and paint lightest. Let's do the back. So then I need to just put a whole lot more water in this and make it really, really light. So see, I'm adding like 4 or 5 paintbrushes, dips of water to this because I'm going to do the lightest first. See how much lighter this looks than straight out of the kit. So I'm going to do my back range first, and I'm going to really spread that water out. See how I'm really spreading that water? Do another one here, and I might have to make it again because I probably don't have enough mixed up. So water will go pretty far if your brush is pretty wet.
Yes.
So
That's the secret to stretching your paint out, right? When it comes
Just
to
put a little more
watercolors.
water in your brush. Okay, I got halfway there. So now I'm going to go back and get some more of that brown and mix it with water. So put more of this solid brown in there and more water on the plate. That's why I really like these styrofoam plates. The other thing you could use is a piece of tile. And then your watercolor will dry on that too, and you can keep using your color.
I think I got a little tree happy.
Did you make a lot of happy little trees?
I think
That's all right. Those look great.
I
That's
got a
great.
little
But you
tree
did
happy
like
here.
a really detailed forest. That's wonderful.
I will show my technique here because I
And
just
I'm
figured
kinda
it out.
going fast.
No,
so-
I just figured out this technique. So let's see if I can do it upside down. Okay, I don't know that I can. I'm gonna do it. I could do it sideways. So you just wisp it. And if you make this a little too big, you can just come up here
Make it taller.
and just give it a little bit of a point. And then if you wanted to, you can add some brown. You can do that really quick. And we have some tree trunks. Brown or black even.
Yep.
I just discovered this.
I'm going to do my middle range,
There we
which
go.
is just a middle color.
I don't even think I'm gonna get my mountains done by the time you have your...
Right, but that's okay because we're teaching. No, I love your trees. Those are great. So this time I didn't put as much water in it, and it's a little bit darker. Get a little more water in my brush. Spread this out.
Do you see my first tree? You see how practice makes better? There's my first attempt. Right here. And then as you come along, practice makes better.
Yeah. Okay, so there's my middle range. See how it's a little bit darker? Now, for this one, it's big and it's going to have to be pretty dark. So I'm going to use it straight out of my paint cup.
I think I'm going to try the gray. Oh, wait, I can't go the gray factor.
Yeah, you can. You just use black and
Lots
mix it
of
with
water.
water. It just takes lots of water to do it with gray because the black in the fronts.
Now I want just to make sure I understand, I want the one that's further away to be the lighter peak, right?
Now when I go in here, it's going to be easier for me to just pull that color around. Yeah, the further away, the lighter it is. That's a lesson in depth. Now, did you see what I just did there? Did you see what I did? I had some lines that I didn't want, so I dipped my brush in the water, put the water straight on the paper, and I just blended those lines away. And you can work with this until it's completely dry. And then those lines are going to be there.
Do you think if I take a piece of paper towel and try to dab it up, it'll lighten the color too?
It might.
Because I didn't give myself a lot of room to work with. Let's see. I'm going to try it. You know, I'm going to practice some more of this artwork from home, I think.
Yeah.
I have to, there we go.
And these mountains are going to take you some time at home and a lot of water in there.
It was smart to go with brown there. You can really lighten that up.
'Cause you can
Gray is
really-
harder
gray's a
color,
little bit harder
or
to
black
work
is
with.
harder, yeah.
You could also shade with some purple in it,
Ooh.
especially on the gray. And I could shade with some black on this brown
Oh my goodness.
if I wanted to. So let's get this peak done real quick. I'm just going to cover him real fast with some color.
I think I'm going to have to finish this and post a picture later.
Yeah, and that's fine. We can can do that. And I may not get the sky done today. Just getting some color on the paper. And then I'm going to put just some straight water on there and blend that around. And we have mountains. And then I can do darker at the bottom. You can come back and put some green and really blend in those white spots with a little time. Now, go back and get some dark brown. Go over this again if you don't feel like it's dark enough. Because you can always make it darker. You can't make it lighter with watercolor. But see how I'm just doing the peaks here? And that's really giving it that effect of distance between it and there. So there you go. You could do a sky. And you can shade other colors in if you want. So Danny did a rainbow and a sun, and I would suggest maybe drawing that with pencil first. Draw your sun, draw your rainbow, and then paint your colors. And she did this, if you notice, her sky is a sunset sky, and it's brighter near the sun and darker as you go away. Kind of the opposite of what land does, isn't it? So there we go.
That's how far I got.
So you can keep working on this and just have some fun at home and keep adding some shading. You can add some colors in there. You can come back and do your trees again and give them lots of color. You can mix any colors you want because you know what? It's your painting and it can be however you want it to be.
And just like our flowers, you can take and add some dimension too.
You can.
With your, with a pen or a pencil. But whatever you do, please feel free to share it on our Facebook page at the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. We'd love to see your art.
We would. And thanks for joining us today.
Have a good day.